I'm back. It's been a while. I haven't been able to make very many videos for the last like month or two because I just started a new job. I've been really busy getting settled in. I work at an accounting firm. Um, yeah, so let's get started. This video is titled the Palenque Pagoda, and it's very self-explanatory. I think that one of the buildings in this Mayan city of Palenque, which is located in Mexico and is one of the most famous of the Maya cities, is actually a pagoda, or is inspired on a pagoda, is inspired by a pagoda, or has a kind of common um, cultural evolution as the pagoda. And so the subtitle says, was Atlantis an Asian or European civilization? And so this is one of the really important questions about Atlantis research because ultimately what it comes down to is who were the Atlanteans? What did they look like? And to me, that has been probably the most, if not one of the most difficult questions about Atlantis. Who were these people? And so I'm really kind of on the fence as to exactly what the identity of these people were. But I believe that they are either European or they are Asian, right? That's two very broad categories of people. And I don't mean to generalize, but I'm not really sure which one is more likely as of now. I'm actually leaning toward European. I'm leaning toward like um, the Atlanteans being related to either the Phoenicians or the Scandinavians and the Vikings. And I have various reasons for believing that, which I'll get back to later. But there's also some more questionable evidence, in my view, that links the Atlanteans to Asians, right? The idea that Atlantis could actually be an Asian civilization is one that I haven't really been able to completely exclude. And I'm kind of on the fence, like around 70-30, favoring the European versus the 30% for the Asian hypothesis. But let's just get straight into this. What is the Palenque Pagoda? First of all, what's a pagoda? Everybody knows this, but I just want to kind of give you some images of pagodas so you have an idea of, you have some reference point of what actual specific pagodas look like. This is a small wild goose pagoda in China that was built in 709. This is another Chinese pagoda that was built, I don't know how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. And um, what you can clearly see in these different pagodas is that pagodas are clearly an Asian motif, right? You don't see pagodas in South America. You don't see pagodas in England. You don't really see pagodas in Greece. You see pagodas in Asian countries, in countries that are really influenced especially by China and by Chinese culture, which includes Korea, which includes Japan, and even India in a sense. Like you see a lot of pagodas in those countries. And so if you saw this structure, for example, in Australia, if you saw it in Costa Rica, if you saw it in South Africa or Nigeria, you would think, that structure doesn't really belong there. That architectural pattern is simply out of place. Now, let me take you to a city in Mexico that was built, archaeologists say, around 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, but I believe is actually much older. I believe that Palenque was built during the Ice Age. But that's a crazy far out idea that I'll have to expand upon later. But let's just get straight to the Palenque Pagoda. What does this look like? It's actually officially called the Palace Observation Tower, which is a creative name. The idea that this is a palace and that it's an observation tower is makes a lot of sense after all. It's located on top of a hill, as you can see compared to the background topography here. It's located on top of a hill. And so Palace Observation Tower is a fairly good name for this structure. But what I think it looks like is I think it looks like a pagoda. I think there's a common architectural pattern that links this Mayan city to the Asian cultures and the Asian civilizations. and the pagodas that I showed you in the previous slides. And this is another picture of the Palenque Palace Observation Tower. Clearly, there are some differences. The pagodas that are actual pagodas have a lot more levels. They have a lot more floors, whereas the Palenque observation or the Palenque Palace Observation Tower only has 3 stories. But I also have noticed here that there are, and the windows, so-called the windows of the Palace Observation Tower are much larger than the windows of the actual pagodas. In addition, you don't have kind of like a tapering effect of the pagodas. The pagodas go straight up for the most part. I guess you can't really say that for sure because there's only 3 stories. It's hard to tell what the pattern of that of the width of each of the stories is as you go up. But I think that this is an out of place artifact. I think this is an out of place structure that is completely different from any structure that is in most other Mayan cities. And for that reason, I believe this is potential evidence linking Asian cultures to the Mayas. And so, what does this have to do with Atlantis? That's a topic that I'll get into in future videos. But I just want to say from here, just to introduce this idea, is that there's an Atlantis researcher named George Erickson, and he wrote a book along with Ivor Zapp. I forgot the title, but it was about the idea that he presented was that the Mayan civilization was actually more than 10,000 years old. That archaeologists have misdated the Mayan civilization and that it actually dated back to what he was trying to get at, what George Erickson was trying to get at was that the Mayans actually were the Atlanteans, that these cities, Palenque for example, these cities were actually built in the time of Atlantis. And I will expand upon these ideas in future videos, but here I just wanted to briefly make a short video to say that I'm back and that I'll be making more videos in the future.